Hare Krishna. So we are reading from Bhagavad Gita, chapter 4, transcendental knowledge. So they described different types of yagas. Yagas are of two types. What are some example has given? Now summarizing, they are of two types. Evam bahu vidha yagga vitata brahmana mukhi. Karmajan viti tan sarvan evam gatta vimokshas. Evam das bahu vidha, various kinds of yagga sacrifice. Vitata are spread, Vitaran. Brahmana of the Vedas, Mukhe, through the mouth. Karmajan, born of work. Karmajan, Karmajan arthat means born of work. Vidhi, you should know. Tan, them. That means that sacrifices. Sharvan, all. Evam, das, gatta, knowing. Vimukshasi, you will be liberated. All these different types of sacrifice are approved by the Vedas, and all of them are born of different types of work. Knowing them as such, you will become liberated. Different types of sacrifice are discussed above, are mentioned in the Vedas to suit the different types of worker. Because men are so deeply absorbed in the bodily concept, the sacrifices are so arranged that one can work either with the body, with the mind, or with the intelligence. But all of them are recommended for ultimately bringing about liberation from the body. This is confirmed by the Lord herewith from his own mouth. Sorry. Text 33. There are two types of one karmamoy, some jnanamoy. Which one is better? Sriyan drabya maya jagga jnano jagga parantam. Sarvam karma khilam artha jnane parishamap. Sriyan is greater. Sriya. Drupya mayat of the material possessions. Jagga, then this sacrifice. Jnana jagga, sacrifice in knowledge. Parantapa was chastiser of enemy, Arjun. Sarvam all. Karma activities. Akhilam in totally. Partha O son of Pritha. Jnane in knowledge, Parishamap, the end. Was chastiser of the enemy. The sacrifice performed in knowledge is better than the mere sacrifice of material possessions. After all, O son of Pritha, all sacrifices of work culminate in transcendental knowledge. Here saying two types of sacrifice. One is sacrifice performed in knowledge and sacrifice of material possession. So why sacrifice of knowledge is better? Because all sacrifice of work culminates in transcendental knowledge. The purpose of all sacrifices is to arrive at the status of complete knowledge, then to gain a release from material miseries, and ultimately to engage in loving transcendental service to the Supreme Lord. Nonetheless, there is a mystery about all these different activities of sacrifice. And one should know this mystery. Sacrifices sometimes take different forms according to the particular faith of the performer. When one's faith reaches the stage of transcendental knowledge, the performer of sacrifices should be considered more advanced than those who simply sacrifice material possessions without such knowledge. For without attainment of knowledge, sacrifices remain on the material platform and bestow no spiritual benefit. Without attainment of knowledge, sacrifices remains on the material platform and bestow no spiritual benefit. Real knowledge culminates in Krishna consciousness, the highest stage of transcendental knowledge. Without the elevation of knowledge, sacrifices are simply material activities. When, however, they are elevated to the level of transcendental knowledge, all such activities enter into the spiritual platform. Depending on difference in consciousness, sacrificial activities are sometimes called karma kanda, jnana kanda. I'm reading again. Depending on the differences in consciousness, sacrificial activities are sometimes called karma kanda, creative activities, and sometimes jnana kanda, knowledge of the pursuit of the truth. It's better when the end is knowledge. So, yoga is not for pleasing Krishna, they will remain karma kanda. The jnana will remain in jnana kanda. কর্মকাণ্ড জ্ঞানকাণ্ড সকলে বিষের ভাণ্ড, pot of poison. Simply karma and knowledge, but no knowledge for bhakti. That type of karma also can kanda. It is a poison, a pot of poison, because they will not liberate one. They will tie him in this material. That is compared with pot of poison. Ultimate yoga is that this activity is that knowledge for the pleasure of the Lord. Now, that knowledge from where will get? That will come from a spiritual master. How to receive that? Tad vidhi pranipatena pariprasnana sevaya upadekshanti te ganam gaininastat. Tad vidhi. Tat means that knowledge of different sacrifices. Tat means that. Om Tat Sat. Vidhi, try to understand. Try to understand their different type of sacrifice. Which one is for karma kanda, which is for jnana kanda, which one is for pleasure of the Lord. Try to understand it. And by knowing that, try to approach for that knowledge to the spiritual master. Pranipatena. Approaching to a spiritual master. Pranipat means, nipat means fall down. Pranipat means completely fall down. Means paying obeisances. That means, pranipat means to surrender the spiritual master. That is meant by approaching a spiritual master. Approaching a spiritual master is not for argumentative talk. By approaching a spiritual master means surrendering unto spiritual master. And approaching pariprasnana. Pariprasnana means prasna, question. No, pariprasnana means by submissive inquiries. Not challenging attitude. In school also, by challenging attitude, we cannot acquire knowledge. Pariprasnana, by submissive inquiries. And sevaya, by the rendering of service. Very important. If we ask question to someone, should be purpose for something. Why I'm asking? Unnecessary wasting his time. One should ask question for his own personal improvement. And to get that knowledge, two things is important. One is by rendering service, and another is submissive attitude. And another third is pranipad. So one pranipad, one is pariprasna, and one is sevaya. Three things important. Then spiritual master upadekshanti. The spiritual master will initiate. Upadekshanti means he will give instruction. Give instruction means chant Hare Krishna Mahamantra. Serve Krishna. That is initiation. Te you jnanam into knowledge. Jnanina, the self-realized tattva of the truth darshina seers. Who is the spiritual master? He who is seers of the absolute truth. Tattva darshan, who has seen the truth. That means he who has seen Krishna and he has seen, understood that it is not seen only through eye. Has seen through ear also. That means who has understood who Krishna is. Who am I? What is my duty? How a spiritual world Krishna looks like. Knowing all these things means Tattva-darshini. He knows Tattva. What is Tattva? Three types. Brahma, Paramatma, Bhagavan. Param Tattva, three types. Brahma, Paramatma, Bhagavan. He who knows, he is the Tattva-darshi. He is Guru. Just try to learn the truth by approaching a spiritual master. Inquire from him submissively and render service unto him. The self-realized soul can impart knowledge unto you because he has seen the truth. The self-realized soul can impart knowledge. How he can impart? Because he has seen the truth. If you have seen America, then you can explain. Very difficult how America looks like. The path of self-realization, the path of spiritual realization is undoubtedly difficult. The Lord, therefore, advises us to approach a bona fide spiritual master in the line of disciplic succession from the Lord himself. No one can be a bona fide spiritual master without following the principles of disciplic succession. The Lord is the original spiritual master. And a person in the disciplic succession can convey the message of the Lord as it is to his disciple. No one can be spiritually realized by manufacturing his own process, as is the fashion of the foolish pretenders. The Bhagavatam says, Dharmam tu sakshat bhagavat pranitam. What is religion? Religion is not a concocted theory. Dharma means, religion means the instruction given by the Lord. The path of religion is directly enunciated by the Lord. Bhagavat Pranita. Therefore, mental speculation or dry arguments cannot help lead one to the right path, nor by independent study of books of knowledge can one progress in spiritual life. One has to approach a bona fide spiritual master to receive the knowledge. Such a spiritual master should be accepted in full surrender. And one should serve the spiritual master like a menial servant without false prestige. Very important. You may be intelligent, but in front of the spiritual master, you are a rascal number one. Why? Because spiritual master We should not calculate with material knowledge. We may have material so much knowledge, but what is the use of material knowledge in connection with the spiritual master? But I may be a materially very knowledgeable person, but spiritually I'm zero. That is why spiritual master, one should appreciate spiritual master, one should serve the spiritual master like a menial servant without false prestige. Satisfaction of the self-realized spiritual master is the secret of advancement in spiritual life. Never forget this line. Satisfaction of the self-realized spiritual master is the secret of advancement in spiritual life. If one wants to progress in spiritual life, somehow or other you have to please spiritual master. And a spiritual master very much likes humility. Other so many character qualifications may be there, but no humility, they are useless. Inquiries and submission constitute the proper combination for spiritual understanding. Unless there is submission and service, inquiries from the learned spiritual master will not be effective. One must be able to pass the test of the spiritual master, and when he sees the genuine desire of the disciple, he automatically blesses the disciple with genuine spiritual understanding. How spiritual master will happy? How much money you should give? Then he'll happy. Spiritual master will take the test. When he sees the genuine desire, what is the test? Pass. When he sees the genuine desire of this spiritual master, bas, that is the test. You really want or not. For taking, you have to give up all simple activities. You have ready to chant 16 rounds. Really desires, then yes. You automatically bless the disciple with genuine spiritual understanding. In this verse, both blind following and absurd inquiries are condemned. I think you may remember. Third chapter, third verse. Blind following and absurd inquiries. Blind following is sentimentalism. And absurd inquiries are mental speculation. Both should be there. Not only should one hear submissively from the spiritual master, but one must get a clear understanding from him in submission and service and inquiries. These three things. Submission, service and inquiry. Submission, pranipatana, service, shevaya, inquiries, paripasana. Inquiries, paripasana, pranipatana, submission, and shevaya, service. A bona fide spiritual master is by nature very kind toward the disciple. Therefore, when the student is submissive and is always ready to render service, the reciprocation of knowledge and inquiries become perfect. I'm reading again. Therefore, when the student is submissive and is always ready to render service, submissive and render service. Here you can see, therefore, when the student is submissive and always ready to render service, the reciprocation of knowledge and inquiries becomes perfect. Inquiries. Guru Maharaj, what is this? This inquiry is perfect when you serve and submissive. Inquiries is not important thing. important is submissive and service. If you don't inquire, if you simply serve and in the service, like a mother, if your mother is child, cry and serve. If she doesn't want something, mother will provide him. So, three things. Even unable to inquire, but submissiveness and service. Very, very important. Now, question may come, what type of knowledge will spiritual master give? Then, spiritual master will give this knowledge, 34. 34, for living disciple. Now, 35, what spiritual master, what knowledge will give? Jatkatana Pururmoham, Evang Jashishi Pandava, Jeno Bhutani Ashishani, the Krishi Atmani Athamai. He will give that knowledge, Jat Gatta, Jat wish, Gatta knowing. The knowledge we shall give, but if you accept that. No, Puno, never again. Moho, illusion. Even like this. Just Shashi Jate hai. He'll go. Pandavasana Pandu. Jena, by wish. Bhutani, living entities. Vashishani all. Drakshashi, you will see. Atmani in the Supreme Soul. Athau, or in other words, moi in him. Having obtained real knowledge from a self-realized soul, you will never fall again into such illusion. This knowledge is so powerful. If you get one, you will never fall again into such illusion. Or by this knowledge, you will see that all living beings are but part of the Supreme, or in other words, they are mine. This knowledge will give. What is spiritual master will give? All living beings are part and parcel of Supreme. That is spiritual master. We are not this body, we are soul. We are part of Super Soul. And in other words, that they are mine. This knowledge, the result of receiving knowledge from a self-realized soul, or one who knows things as they are, is learning that all living beings are parts and parcels of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Lord Sri Krishna, the sense of an existence separate from Krishna is called Maya. The sense of an existence separate from Krishna is called Maya. Something that we have nothing to do with Krishna. That Krishna is only a great historical personality, and that the Absolute is the impersonal Brahman. Actually, as it is stated in the Bhagavad Gita, this impersonal Brahman is the personal effulgence of Krishna. Krishna, as the Supreme Personal Godhead, is the cause of everything. In the Brahma Samhita, it is clearly stated that Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, the cause of all causes. Even the millions of incarnations are only his different expansions. Similarly, the living entities are also expansions of Krishna. The Mayavadi philosophers wrongly think that Krishna loses his own separate existence in his many expansions. Got it? What does it mean? Mayavadi think Krishna loses identity. Like I'm reading again. The living entities are also expansions of Krishna. The Mayavadi philosopher wrongly think that Krishna loses his separate existence in his many expansions. What is the philosophy? This is Paramatma. And Atma is a part. Then by division they become living entity. When living entity is like that, all are living entity. Then no more Paramatma. And if you unite together, again he will be Paramatma. What a rascal philosophy. Okay, we may be part of Lord, but when the parts unite together, that time will Paramatma. But separate, I am not Paramatma, he is also, there is no Paramatma because we are separate. If we and due to separation, there is no existence of the Lord. Wow. By hearing, how can they believe like that? This thought is material in nature. We have experienced in the material world that a thing, when fragmentally distributed, loses its own original identity. But the Maya philosopher fails to understand that absolute means that 1 plus 1 is equal to 1. And that 1 minus 1 is equal to 1. This is the case in the absolute world. Oh, how it is possible? Okay, just imagine. Why it is not possible? If in a mango tree, the 1000 mango, if you take out the mango from the tree, will the size of the mango tree reduce? If you take thousands of mango from mango tree size is not reduced. And Chaitanya gave example. Parashmani, by its tosses, it turns iron into gold. Still, Parashmani remains intact. So if material thing can become like that, why it may not happen with Lord? By creating living individuals, still Krishna is there. It is not that by creating different individuals, his identity is lost. For want of sufficient knowledge in the absolute science, we are now covered with illusion. Therefore, we think that we are separate from Krishna. Although we are separated parts of Krishna, we are nevertheless not different from him. Separated part, but not different from him. The bodily difference of the living entities is Maya, but not actual fact. We are all meant to satisfy Krishna. By Maya alone, Arjuna thought that the temporary bodily relationship with kinsman was more important than his eternal spiritual relationship with Krishna. The whole teaching of the Bhagavad Gita is targeted toward this end. That a living being, as Krishna's eternal servitor, cannot be separated from Krishna. And this sense of being an identity apart from Krishna is called Maya. The living entities, as separate parts and parcels of the Supreme, have a purpose to fulfill. Having forgotten that purpose since time immemorial, they are situated in different bodies as men, animals, demigods, etc. Such bodily differences arise from forgetfulness of the transcendental service of the Lord. But when one is engaged in transcendental service through Krishna consciousness, one becomes at once liberated from this illusion. One can acquire such pure knowledge only from the bona fide spiritual master and thereby avoid the delusion that the living entity is equal to Krishna. Perfect knowledge is that the Supreme Soul Krishna is the supreme shelter for all living entities. and giving up such shelter, the living entities are deluded by the material energy, imagining themselves to have a separate identity. Thus, under different standards of material identity, they become forgetful of Krishna. When, however, such deluded living entities become situated in Krishna consciousness, it is to be understood that they are on the path of liberation, as confirmed in the Bhagavatam. Mukti Unnatha Rupam Sharupena Bhavasya. The definition of mukti. What is mukti? Mukti means hitva. One should give up. Unnatha Rupam. Unnatha Rupam. My position, I am the servant of Krishna. Apart from that, Mukti Hitta Unnatha Rupam. Sharup. What is the Sharup? Sharup is where the Sharup, own identity is, we are the servant of Krishna. And apart from that, thinking is Unnatharup. Apart from Sarup, that is called Unnatharup. Opposite of Sarup, Unnatharup. That means Sarup means servant of Krishna. Unnatharup means apart from servant of Krishna, whatever may be. I'm a doctor, I'm an engineer, I'm an American, I'm a dog, I'm a cat, I'm a human being. Whatever identity, give up all these things. Hittva. Give up that. That is called mukti. And situated, Vyavasthito, remain situated in Sharup, original identity as servant of Krishna. Liberation means to be situated in one's constitutional position as an eternal servitor of Krishna. That means mukti means developing Krishna consciousness. When we are Krishna conscious, that is real mukti. Hare Krishna. Thank you very much. We are reading slowly because the subject matter is not a is not a thing that we should try to finish. If we read once, our life will succeed. If we understand. So that is why don't read Bhagavad Gita, Srimad Bhagavatam to finish. That will be in the Niyamagra. Read for which purpose I am reading. I am reading to become a pure devotee. With that purpose, not for finishing. So that is if text Prabhupada see in one purpose is giving anything. Oh, I have to give a small purpose so that I can finish it. Prabhupada never he has that type of attitude. Okay. Hare Krishna. Prabhupada Gita.
Hare Krishna Maharaj. Maharaj, I left. Maharaja left. Okay, anyway.